Hey, what's up guys? I'm going to be making this walnut credenza in this video. It's got two sliding front doors. Actually got some walnut burl on those sliding doors. Center bottom is a push to open drawer, and then center top is some wine glass storage. So let's do it. First up in this process, I'm going to get to milling and really focus on the top and bottom and my partitions. And I also just recently moved down to Tennessee, so if you notice, the shop looks a little bit different than in my previous videos. I joined a cooperative workspace with a bunch of woodworkers, and it's just been great being able to use kind of more pro-level machines. It allows me to kind of the creative freedom to really kind of chase after a larger work and draw upon inspiration from all the other guys in the space. So super happy with that decision. The case is gonna be put together using a bunch of dowels, and so for this I just usually make my own dowel jig. And with the case put together, I'll just mark for my grooves for the sliding doors, and I'll just use an edge guide with my router to do that. I rent 150 square feet out of this large building, so it's a pretty small space to be doing any kind of work in, so sometimes I gotta maneuver to run some rabbits in the back for the really long pieces. The center partitions are all joined together with splines, and so I'm just running all the grooves for my splines right now. For this kind of stuff, I'll usually just draw an edge profile out and plane down to it, plane down to those marks with my hand planes. The two outside compartments will get adjustable shelves, and so this is my shop-made shelf pin jig. I'm using 1/4-inch pins.
Good, 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 good.
In prep for glue up, I'll put the case back together one last time, and I'll go ahead and spread some wax in those corners so that any glue squeeze out won't stick to the nicely finished surface. Once it's all clamped up, I'll double check square with these cross sticks and make adjustments as necessary with the F-clamps by moving them in and out to kind of get into square. I like gluing up cases like this and just generally constructing cases like this because it's pretty, low stress. You glue up the box and then you slide in any partitions from the back because you use splines for that purpose. So it's really chill, like no stress whatsoever. And instead of measuring, I'll usually just make a story stick. I'll fit that little piece into the opening, and then that's my dimension. I'll take that to the table saw and cut it. With the case all glued up, now I'm going to focus on the back. The back's kind of constructed in a strange kind of way. So I've got my frames that I want to make sure have the same dimension in each compartment showing. Because I got the two partitions, the center frames are going to be wider, and then I'm going to be making the tongue and groove center panels out of southern yellow pine. And to kind of really get all my dimensions for the back, I'll make story sticks again and then use that to really determine the dimensions of each individual component. So this new shop has a panther router, and I'm going to use it. I'm just going to do some slip tenons though. Pretty quick and easy, and just as strong. Why not? To fill in that walnut frame I just made for the back panel, I'm going to use some southern yellow pine and cut some tongue and groove joinery in there with the dado stack. I glued up the back panel in two parts. I glued up the center panel first, and then after that was dry, like the next day, I came back and glued up, everything together. So you're probably also wondering why there's just like this random open spot in that center panel. That's just where the drawer's going, and I figured, maybe it's cutting corners, but like I just didn't think it was necessary to put any sort of, southern yellow pine in there, just because it's going to be hidden 100% of the time behind a drawer. And to flush up all the joinery, I just throw it through the time saver. This thing is awesome, man. I love using this thing now. And the center panels, the southern yellow pine is inset about heavy 16th from that walnut frame, so the sandpaper doesn't end up scratching it at all. To fit this whole back panel into the cabinet, this thing's kind of a beast. I give the edges a slight bevel, and that allows it to kind of sit into the opening in the back of the cabinet a little bit easier, and just little by little until I get a nice, tight fit. All right, let's work on the base now. It's going to be knockdown, and so I'm going to use some knockdown domino joinery, which would be kind of cool. My idea was just to save a little space when I go to crate it and ship it off, and hopefully that will save some money in shipping. I don't know. To attach the base of the cabinet, I'm going to use machine screws and threaded inserts. And to account for any wood movement, the front portion of the base will get, a tight 1/4 inch hole for a 1/4 20 bolt, and then the rear ones will get like a 1/2 inch hole with a 1/4 20 bolt. So that bigger hole should allow for some wood movement. All right, now let's do the doors. It's going to be frame and panel doors. The rails on the bottom and the top are going to be about an 1/8 inch thicker than the stiles, and then the center panel is going to be about an 1/8 inch thinner than the stiles. So it kind of steps down a bit and just gives those doors a bit more depth. And to make sure that I nail these doors, I do kind of template them out with plywood first. So I get all of my dimensions right. I make sure that the plywood is fitting exactly how I want it to within that opening. And then I can just transfer those dimensions onto the actual finished doors. So the center panels of the door are going to be walnut burl veneered, and the substrate is just some MDF, and then I edge banded that with some solid, kind of wide strips of solid walnut, and I did that because I want this panel to be a raised panel to kind of give it a little bit of a shadow line when it's up against the frame. And to glue it all up, I actually been using this. I dyed some urea formaldehyde glue, kind of dark chocolatey, just so if any squeeze out does come through the burl, it'll be pretty close to the same color. The drawer for this credenza is made in a kind of a unique way. Traditional, cabinet drawers, I guess that you'd see in a kitchen or something, they're going to have like a drawer front, and there's going to be a drawer box that you screw a drawer front onto, and that drawer front is really there to just hide any gaps behind it. You'll get a nice 1/8 inch 3/32 gap or whatever on all sides, and it hides the hardware and whatever else. For this though, one of the guys in the shop did a couple of his drawers like that for a project he was working on. I thought was really cool. He was able to get some wings on the drawer front and kind of make the drawer front wider and taller than the actual drawer box. And we did that using the panther router and then just kind of sneaking up on the joinery with the tail. So it was trial and error, but I think it turned out pretty cool, man. This thing, I really like it. And then final touches, just kind of giving the drawer front a bit of a pillow, planing down the sides and the ends, but really kind of trying to stay away from the center. For the drawer hardware, I'm using Blum's Movento push to open. Pretty cool stuff. One of the final things is to attach the wine storage. So these racks will hold a bunch of wine glasses, and I didn't actually get any footage of me making these. I didn't really feel like it, so here I am attaching it. All right, everyone. Well, that's the video. That's the credenza. Hope you guys liked it. Appreciate you watching. Take care.